On today's Minute of the Apes, we can all finally breathe because Todd finally got his Padme.
Woo!
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
This is the divine bomb.
The only good human is a dead human! Where there is fire, there is smoke.
The minute of the apes. 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 Yay!
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. I am Todd. I am victorious. I no longer have to worry about getting Padme in
can
Star Wars
sleep at
Galaxy.
night now.
These guys, how long have I been bitching about getting Padme?
Well, at least this movie.
But it had to be really frustrating because I got her, 4 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a whim, I'm like, oh, look, I find these quests. Oh, look, I've got Padme. And you're like, motherfucker.
Oh, no.
What?
If you'll remember, too, I was the one that said, hey, try Newt Gunray in the lead, and you just all of a sudden did that, and you got it. And that
when
was
you were
actually
mad.
when I was like, fuck you.
And then I went and got it, and like, all right.
I'm like, I could, once
And
again.
you've been playing longer than I have, like a year, at least a year or more longer than I have.
Yeah, but there were you and I have talked about sometimes you don't know what to focus on, you don't know
Right.
what you're doing, and I don't like the Padme character, so I kind of was like, nah. But I heard how powerful she was in this game. I kept putting it off, and it was like every combination of this, and so I finally said to the guys right now, okay, what if I did this? And it was focus on this first, and so
Todd with a roller coaster of emotion. Damn it! Oh, wait, hang on. No. Ah, shit. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, that's
it
true.
really was the relief of, at least I don't have to worry about her anymore. So in case you ever want to, when this is all over, I think we're just going to make a Star Wars Galaxy Hero podcast because that's obviously what we
That's all
talk
we'll
about
be
more than
talking
anything. But it's a fun game if you like those kind of farming things, and it's especially if you have good friends to bitch about the game with, which we're all in the same guild and we enjoy that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Star Wars Galaxy Heroes aside, let's get back to Apes. Sean, tell us what's going on. Minute 54.
We're going to start minute 54 with Lisa calling for Corny and ends with mutant still on the march.
I
love
love so
that.
many
I
things
love
about that.
it.
You used Corny once again. I feel like I've indoctrinated you to that, and you once again give us a Citizen Kane type thing.
Yeah.
So thank you, Sean. All right, minute 54, battle for the Planet of the Apes.
Cornelius? Cornelius!
As minute 54, we have a village worth of apes and humans, plus a ghost city's worth of radioactive people, and still no Ricky.
Okay, there's enough here to talk about that drives me ape shit. So we begin the minute. I'll try to recap what we've seen. We see Lisa looking around for Corny. We see the hacking of the limb that makes Cornelius fall. Aldo reacts. All the gorillas swarm around. The campfire's still burning. Lisa comes out and she finds the body laying by the fire. And then, like Sean said, we see mutants marching away from the city. So from the beginning, I understand the need to introduce that Lisa's looking for him, just to add that secondary narrative so we go on. But
how often does he escape that she has to go track him down?
That's okay. That's a good thing. Why would it not have been interesting to even begin his introduction as he snuck out to go do something? So now we've built that narrative that she knows to go look for him. I I don't want to put down Natalie Trundy's performance in this, but there's something about her eyes, and I think that's more what it is, and maybe the lighting in this, where she just looks kind of half-assed in it, you know?
It looks like she's trying to sniff and follow
Maybe
his
that's
scent
what
or
it
something.
is.
Yeah,
And she may be trying that, and you just can't see it a ton, but...
because of the lighting. Yeah.
So we, like I said, we go and then we cut right to, and even though that's really weird, when you look at the action of it, she turns camera right, and the action of Aldo is camera right. You usually don't try not to
And
do
the
that.
same thing, yeah.
It's a hard cut there, but
I mean, they have her. They literally have Cornelius fall out of the tree, and then she's looking around almost as if she heard it, but
Right.
we know she hadn't because he's far away. Yeah.
true.
They were supposed to shoot this in such a way that we hear Cornelius scream, and Caesar and Lisa are both wide awake, and the scream is off in the distance. And Lisa kind of just goes, I dreamed that Cornelius called father, which motivates her to go look for Cornelius. And then comes in the room and sees Cornelius not there and screams Cornelius, and then runs outside. So they're supposed to have a moment where they may have heard a scream. She wakes up and says something, and then goes to the room and finds him not there, screams, and then they run outside.
I can see why you take Caesar out of it, because that immediately puts him in action. And so one of the things that I'll jump into the minute that drives me nuts, and we'll see in coming minutes the discovery of the campfire.
Right.
Lisa didn't know this was that damn thing burning. Is she so even if I saw my child laying on the ground, I would notice there's a campfire. I would see that. I would be the first to say he was out by a campfire. He was in a tree, and
But
why didn't one of the apes kick the fire? Is what I almost thought.
Oh yeah, put it out as they're leaving.
I didn't like the cut of her wondering where he is, and then him falling off the branch. I think you negated the tension of that moment of him, of Aldo coming off of him and cutting the branch and him falling, by having her just kind of interjected looking for him. Like I wish that had
That's
happened.
true.
I wish that had happened afterwards.
Well, why couldn't you have? Okay, so let's imagine that Cornelius is far enough away from their tree house that when he were to say father, what you heard at the tree house was just ah. You may not hear the definition of what he's saying. That could have woken her, and that would have been, I think, a better thing. Because I think you're right. I never thought about how her sniffing around kills the tension of that moment. And what I actually think hurts the tension too is, why don't we see him laying on the
his
ground
body,
and overhead?
Yeah. You see everybody gather around him, but it almost feels like they were trying to hedge their bets so that
A kid laying on the ground was a little too much.
Yeah.
Maybe
I mean, and
with one of
so-
those little legs crooked off to the side, like it's supposed to be broken,
Yeah.
but it's not really. It's just bent backwards.
so-
Okay, but we killed Bambi's mom, and you can't throw an
but
ape
that was
baby
off.
on the ground.
That was off screen. You didn't see the bullet piercing the chest.
Yeah.
It also feels like they're trying to hide his condition for the next couple of minutes so that you're supposed to think that he is dead, because that's the thing that I thought, like,
Yeah.
holy shit, did
Yeah.
they just kill this kid?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you want to build that, if you want to add more to that, just
Okay, but-
that he's potentially dead.
So we have perspectives for camera motivation. You have Aldo in the tree, right? And he, even though that cut is really kind of sloppy, he
Yeah.
looks a little too late. Why not have him looking down? And you can already have Cornelius laying on the ground. He's in that white suit, but quickly the gorillas, and just cut to it as the gorillas are over him. So you just imply it that he's
Right.
there, and you see it. We don't reveal his. It feels so empty that then whenever it comes later, I actually don't buy that he's hurt as much. I want to see that immediacy, and maybe it was because it was a kids movie they didn't want to show.
A bloody little
But they
corpse.
fucking hacked a kid out of a tree. To Sean's point of Bambi, when you don't see some things, sometimes it's even worse.
Yeah.
What you do in your head is worse. And I think this moment, we needed that for Aldo. We needed him to see what he had done. And then for the weight of what will come to him in the story, you need to see it.
Well, we finally got a breaking branch to spook everybody off. I mean, if I'm in a forest, I'm going to expect to hear breaking branches because animals walking around and stuff. I mean, it's not supposed to be silent out there.
Right.
So anytime branch breaks, everybody stops.
They're
looks around.
He's fallen. He's on the ground. The gorillas don't know how to react. They kind of look to one another. Aldo kind of comes in like, I don't know what to do either. And then they hear Lisa coming, and then they kind of all scurry away.
Well,
like they don't put the campfire out, they don't do nothing, and then she kind of searches a little bit more, and then just kind of comes across him. It's very sloppy.
I mean, even to the fact that Aldo doesn't even give commands, he just gives grunts. It just
They don't put the fire out.
Yeah.
So like, how does she even find Cornelius?
Well, we talk. Okay, maybe the fire leads are there, and if that were the case, that she saw the fire and went to it, that would at least explain it. To Sean's constant complaint about time compression and how things don't work, it literally takes about 9.5 seconds from the
For her to find it?
Aldo exits frame to when she finds it. I could probably look in the distance and
see him running
people
off.
running away still with only 9 seconds head start. They may be in the distance, but I'd see them. I would hear them. I would know something. She doesn't react to any of it, and it would help so much were Aldo to go, and then if he were just to kick the flame,
something like that. Exactly.
something to try say, I'm trying to bury this. I don't want to be found out. It once again adds to the tension of.
And you hear the go. Lisa hears one of the goes at the end to tip her off to move a direction or something, or rustling or something that moves her.
Or have her sniff again. You can smell fire.
Or put that damn squirrel. Let it run in front of the screen.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, she goes, "Oh, Ricky," and Ricky leads her to Cornelius.
And then once again, so when we see Corny's body. Okay, so there we get Corny's body on the ground at 43 seconds. So they're not afraid to show that he has fallen and he's laying on the ground. Once again, why can't you show that upward or downward angle that shows me that? Is she seeing this somehow? Are we? I mean, because even when we see him laying there, it then takes, what is that, about 5 seconds before she runs in that direction, and she kind of runs in the wrong direction, in my opinion. The way she's wandering should be that she runs camera right instead of left. It doesn't feel right, because my camera look at him has been from a right angle, and therefore she should be working towards that.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we get a couple of seconds of mutants on the march with the poor discipline, and everybody just all over the place.
Well, let me
and the time frame also doesn't make sense.
let me just ask a question here. We're nighttime,
Yeah.
and we have no reason to suddenly jump to daytime with the military on the move. There's no transition. There's no.
Well, not only that,
there's no lead into why we suddenly move to this moment. And I'll be honest. When you look at the script, they go through a little more moments with the doctor and Lisa and Cornelius being injured that we really don't get, and we still transition to them getting ready to go on the march. The scene that was cut earlier when we see them inside the bunker getting ready to go out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because this is not
even
supposed
from the scriptwriter standpoint. There's no reason for this to suddenly happen. There's no reason to move there from this.
Right.
We need a speech about, the mutants are building war or something from the ape city in order to be able to move to this moment with the military and the march. There's no. It just doesn't. I can't.
the apes
it's
don't
hard.
know that the mutants are on the march.
But it's sudden. It's just so sudden. There's nothing.
Well, the fact that
there's nothing to jump us to this moment.
They have left in the previous scenes that we've seen them. They had already been on the march, driving out.
But those were supposed to happen here.
Yeah, so
not those were earlier, right? We saw those earlier, so they
But we
moved those
should see-
earlier. But it still doesn't.
We should see them further in the desert here
Yeah.
than just leaving
The city,
dead
yeah.
city. It literally feels like they've stopped time for them. And I tried to think of better edits too, because this bugged me too. I was like, whoa, we just harshly went there. Now in tomorrow's minute, and I'm going to jump to a visual, we see somebody have to open the hood of a car because they're having issues. If you put out the fire, you got smoke. You could cut from the smoke, the smoldering smoke of that, to smoke out of the car, and it's one of those matched kind of edits
Right. Yeah,
that,
that would
suddenly would work, and it would be something that we're commonality would go. But you're right, we just jump away from it, and
It goes from night to day. Like there's
and
no.
it kills the tension of that she's found her son.
Right.
There's nothing to let me linger, and it's much like those moments earlier when I was talking about with Culp that There are times where you need to let me digest what you've given me before you give me something new. And they don't seem to care about that at all. And I blame the editor initially on this, but also Thompson to an extent is like,